Our service learning project was the prison book program on April 2nd. The goal of this organization is to send donated books to prisoners.
When I chose this project, the word prison stood out to me because going into the project, I knew that I was going to help someone out.
The prison book program is located in the basement of the United First Parish Church in Quincy.
So the prison book program started in 1972. There were just a group of people that thought it was a good idea.
We took the T from Kenmore to Quincy Center, and it took about 45 minutes both ways.
We're going to spend more time on the train than at the project, so this is a really important time. Then we're going to read the prisoners' letters, and I'm really excited to send them books, because literature is it's great to read, and I think it's really important to read. It's really cool that we get to do this. I'm really excited.
As a group, we worked together to find the church, and once we found it, we struggled a little bit to find the door, but finally Professor Cordner came and got us and led us in the right direction.
Our job was to read the letters from prisoners to find out what their needs were in terms of what books they were looking for.
During the prison book program, while I was reading some of the letters, I actually felt kind of bad because some of the prisoners had asked for very specific books, and they made it seem like this was their one opportunity to get those books. And I felt bad because I couldn't provide the books necessarily for them.
I'm very amazed by the whole experience of the project, but most about actually reading the letters. Like, it was very shocking to see how every person that wrote a letter did it in a very different manner. Some people use very simple words, other people use more complex words and ask for more complex books or specific books, and some people even wrote letters in Spanish. And it was just truly amazing to see how everyone had a background story. Dear Ms. Parson, I am a newly incarcerated inmate. I do not have funds, family, friends, an inmate account, or resources. All I have is my faith and this one envelope, which I am using to write to you and your book program.
Then we searched within the library of books that are all gathered from donations and tried to match their requests.
Well, I was really impressed by how sophisticated some of the books that they were asking for. They were asking for a lot of information about legal things and study materials, and that to me was really impressive.
So I have this book called Unstoppable about the wrestler from Arizona State University who only had one leg and became a national champion. And for music, I want to give him sweet soul music, which is kind of similar to hip-hop. It's the roots of it. So.
Looking for some science books mainly, organic chemistry, things like that, astronomy, geography. So I'm on the hunt right now.
Fit the regulations set by the prisons so they could accept the books that we sent.
Some of the regulations included the maximum amount of books they could have, the quality of the books, and even the content of the books.
A maximum of 3 books, paperback only, that would be new-ish.
The most difficult part of this project was definitely picking out the books because some of the requests were so specific. And it was a lot harder than we expected because a lot of the books, with all the donations, some of them are limited. And if we couldn't find exact books, we had to move on to general themes, and we kind of had to think on our feet and decide what books we thought the prisoners would enjoy.
After we pick the books, we weigh them to make sure they're under 1 pound and 14 ounces. Then we rubber band them up and put them on the cart to go get pegged.
We brought them into the other room, which was the packaging room, and we took each book. Some prisoners had 1 really large one, some had 3, and we packaged them all together and we double checked to make sure that those were the books that they wanted. And then we had to wrap them in wrapping paper, make sure they were really secure, and then we taped all of the edges around to make sure they didn't get damaged during shipping. and then they were all ready to go, and we wrote all of their information on the front and stamped it with Prison Book Program, and they were done.
Well, this is really funny because it's like holding or doing the Christmas wrapping, and it's really fitting because this is like Christmas right now.
I didn't really know what to expect going into the Prison Book Program, but I found it really cool that even though the prisoners had made mistakes in their lives, they were trying to better their future.
A lot of people that are incarcerated haven't had the greatest experience with the education system. A lot of them are trying to learn new skills so that when they get out, they can start a job and they can find an alternative way to support themselves. Again, they're in prison. They also have a lot of time on their hands, so a lot of them are just looking for something to do.
It was interesting to read some of the letters from the prisoners. They were all in various different situations, and I feel like this is very important because, in a way, what we give them to read sort of dictates their rehabilitation process and how they rehabilitate.
While we were at the Prison Book Program, reading these letters, you really get a sense of how desperate these prisoners would like to learn and get more of an education. So.
Some were looking for literature in the humanities and social sciences, writing. Some were looking to get their GED. And I just think that it was really encouraging for us to see them want to educate themselves more while they were in prison, so that once they were out, they were able to use what they learned and be able to adjust themselves back into the real world.
One of the prisoners that I got to send books to was a Korean prisoner, and he was interested in Asian studies, so I was able to relate to him, and I thought that we had something in common.
I left with a very rewarding experience, and I really felt that I had helped the prisoners in gaining knowledge and knowledge through literature.
I think that throughout the whole experience, it became more clear how much we take literature for granted and how sometimes we'll be assigned readings to do and just like really we don't want to do it and we don't really get anything from it because it's so forced upon us, but they really, really want books. They want to read, and they don't have as much going on in their lives as maybe we do, so it's a good escape for them, but it makes us realize like how important it is and in different situations how much we really need literature.